For this section, we're going to talk about some basic standards. Each one of my files, my videos that I'm creating, I'm trying to make them probably no longer than 15 minutes to help keep your attention. So on this one, we're going to just talk about some of the standards that you will read about and hear about, and eventually when you get in the working field that you'll also run across. You have 29 CFR 1903 and 29 CFR 1904. These have to do with recording and reporting occupational injuries and illnesses. That's the standard that says how you need to go about recording those injuries. There's also a general industry standard, which is, and I'm not, for each one of these, I'm not going to say 29 CFR because that's just kind of repetitive. I'm just going to give you the number, which would be 1910, and that's general industry standards, which follows a bunch array of different types of industry. That's why it's called general industries. There's also the maritime standard. Obviously, you have the shipping lines where we bring in a lot of our goods, international shipping lines. You have the 1915 standard, the 1917 standard, the 1918 standard, and the 1919 standard. There's also the standard 1926, which is the construction standard. Now, most of the time, since maritime is a specific industry, you wouldn't be hearing a lot about that when you're working in a factory. Most of the time, the two standards you're going to be hearing about would be the general industry standard 1910 and the construction standard 1926. Those are usually the ones you usually hear thrown about most of the time because those are the ones that deal with the majority of activity. There's also the 1928 standard, which you don't hear a lot about unless you're in that specific field, but that has to do with agricultural standards. So how do you read the standard? Well, you have the title 29, and that's OSHA regulations. So basically they're saying the OSHA regulation that falls under standard 29. So now when you're talking about 29, you know the specific standard that we're dealing with. The B in the numbers, as you can see, I put a number up here. It's 1915-7. 0.7. And there's information after that. The B is a standard after 1979. A capital letter is used for the fourth set of parentheses. Prior to 1979, the fourth letter were italicized. So that lets you know when the standard was created, before 1979 or after 1979. So if you look at the numbers, so say you have a number 1928.53, that's a section. So now you know what section to go to, because when you're looking at governmental documents, they always have 19.5, 0.3, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, step by step. So this is telling you what section it's in. The number at the end basically, again, helps you identify maybe the paragraph, right? So it's paragraph B1, point after that. Small i's, lowercase Roman. And if you look at that little slide right there, that kind of helps you understand what they're reading about. So each time there's another issue or point on that paragraph. So let's just say there is a dog. Okay, so you would have just maybe 0.53. And then what types of dogs? 0.53 paragraph B. And then what type of dogs? Small dogs. 0.53 paragraph B, paragraph 1, paragraph 2. So those are each letters to identify still the same core topic, but just subcategory of information that ties right back to the core paragraph or the core statement that section is talking about. All right, look, that was a very quick PowerPoint, but I think with this just description that I've been trying to give, in a real simple description, and it's kind of a little awkward because we're talking about it on video. But with that little description and the PowerPoint that I've set up, I think maybe it'll help you understand it a little bit better. When you look at regulations, they do get kind of confusing and kind of tiring to read because they are very boring. But here I try to break it down just so you can understand it a little bit.